Hi Kay, hi Faye.
Hi.
Welcome. This is Kay Fisher, our dietitian at Waldo County General Hospital, and Faye, our kitchen manager. And today we are going to be talking about some heart-healthy meals. Dr. DeSilvi mentioned fatty fish and the Mediterranean diet, and we will have some fish recipes on our website, but for the show we wanted to do something that was a little more economical and something that anyone can fix regardless of their income level. So welcome Kay, what are we going to be fixing today?
Well, today we are going to fix this wonderful recipe, and we took it from the Betty Crocker Vegetarian Cooking. And it's called triple corn squares, and it has a black bean salsa to go on it. And so Faye is going to show you just how easy this recipe really is. So she takes this cornmeal mix and she adds some cream corn. And you know, if you're particularly needing to lower your sodium intake, this is you can use salt-free cream corn. This is whole kernel corn that's frozen, and so it's salt-free. And she stirs that into this cornmeal mix.
Cornmeal mix, does it matter what kind of cornmeal mix?
It really doesn't matter. This is a Jiffy cornmeal mix, but you can use whatever kind of cornmeal mix that you want to use. And if I was making it at home, I have this southern cornbread that I always make, and I probably would adapt it. But
all right, so you can use, like I have my favorite cornmeal recipe. I can use that also.
You can use that. So you would just take your dry ingredients and use about the same amount. This calls for 6½ ounces of a cornmeal mix.
All right.
So you could use 6½ ounces of a dry ingredient of any, you know, when you mix up your cornmeal mix.
Wonderful.
And that's probably what I would do. Now, we're going to add some eggs to it, and this is just how easy it is.
Wonderful. Now, would this be your main dish, or would it be a side?
This is going to be the main dish, and this is what I want to tell you. Most people don't realize that we can go totally without meat, poultry, or fish if we want to have a good meal made with beans. Any kind of bean and grain combination has all the protein building blocks you need for a complete protein source. And so it's very economical. Beans are very high in fiber and have all kinds of nutrients besides the protein. And so it makes the most healthy dish. And the extra fiber is so good for you.
Does it matter what type of grain? I mean, could it be pasta? Can it be rice? Can it be cornbread?
Sure. You know, almost every culture of the world has their own bean grain subsistence food. You just think about it. If you go to Mexico, you have tortillas and beans. You go to China or some eastern country, you have Far Eastern country, you have like your soybeans and your rice. You go to the Middle East, you have your garbanzo beans, and you have your flatbread, barley or whatever. And you even look at New England, we have our beans and our baked beans and brown bread, don't we?
Right. Wow.
And if you go to the South, it's often cornbread and a pot of pinto beans. That's what I grew up with. But here you have it. You have these wonderful cornbread squares with your black bean sauce. So now Faye is going to, that's all there is to it.
Wow, that
and
is
she's
simple.
going to put that in the pan and just see how easy it is.
And cornbread mixes are quite inexpensive, I believe.
Very inexpensive, and you would not believe this has quite a bit of fiber in it because of the corn and the cornmeal. And then your eggs adds a little extra protein as well.
Wonderful. And you mentioned frozen corn.
Yes.
Would canned corn work?
Yes, you can use canned corn in the same amount.
All right.
And there again, if you're watching salt, just get your sodium-free corn.
All right. And pretty much everything seems like it's available, low salt, regular salt.
Exactly.
And even the generics, which is really nice.
Right, and so there again you have heart health.
Wonderful.
And so now, Faye, we're going to put that in the oven, I suppose, right? I'll stick it in the oven if you want. And now let's look at what, while that's baking, we'll show you what we do to make the bean sauce. Okay, so here we have black beans, and it calls for 1 can of black beans.
All right. Are they drained or just poured right in there?
They are drained.
All right.
In fact, it says rinsed. You know how sometimes a recipe will say to rinse the beans?
Yes.
And sometimes it says just add it as it is. And sometimes, like black beans, kidney beans, some of them have kind of a thick sauce on them. And we don't need that sauce because we're adding salsa.
All right. And is there a reason to, I mean, when I make chili, I just dump it in there. Should I be rinsing it?
No, no. I think chili, it's fine.
All right.
But I think where we're adding this salsa, this is just how we want it.
All right.
And so some people like to mash up the beans a little bit.
Oh.
So you can mash them up some if you want to, or you can just leave it like it is.
All right.
And so then, once the cornbread is done,
yep.
then you just cut it into squares, and the beans go right on each serving of each square of cornbread. So because we knew we didn't have time to bake it here, we brought you a picture of the finished product.
Now, do you warm up the beans, or you serve them room temperature?
You do warm them up.
You do warm them up.
So we would probably, that could be popped
delicious.
into the microwave if you're in a big hurry. You can heat it up in a little pan on the stove. And then you just serve your beans right over the cornbread square, just like that. And just for something different, we decided to put a little apple there. So you can have it with a fruit or with a vegetable, and that's your meal.
Oh my gosh,
that looks
delicious.
You don't really need any other things on your plate than that. If you want to have it with a salad, that would be really good. You could have it with steamed broccoli. You could have it with a glass of milk. And so you've got your vegetable in the salsa. You've got your beans and your grain, which is the complete protein.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your corn, which is your starch.
Wonderful.
And then you can have some fruit with it.
And I am going to grab the next most important ingredient, a fork, and go ahead and try some of this. Looks delicious. I love cornbread and black bean salsa.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Good.